Well, if you guys haven't heard by now, Larry Berg has officially been announced as the next MLS commissioner, succeeding Don Garber in 2027. And this is the most important hire that MLS has made, I think, in the existence of the league. And he will be tasked with leading this league to places it has never been and taking it to another level and making the league honestly unrecognizable compared to what we've seen in the past. So that's why it was such an important hire. And I'm going to list three things that I think are the most important thing that Larry Berg must do in order to succeed as the commissioner of Major League Soccer. But before we get to that, though, I want to read you an article kind of gauging what Larry Berg had said recently in an interview after he was announced officially yesterday as the next commissioner of Major League Soccer. Hey, real quick, make sure you guys hit that like button down below if you haven't already and subscribe to the channel if you are new. The 2026 MLS season part 2 has officially started. We got the transfer window, we got the MLS Cup playoffs at the end of the year, and everything in between you guys are not going to want to miss. So please make sure you guys are subscribed and hit that little bell notification so you never miss any of our videos. So he was announced yesterday and did a press conference, or maybe the press conference was actually today. And this is a snippet from CBS Sports. Don Garber and Larry Berg will always have one thing in common. Each was unveiled as the incoming MLS commissioner on the same day. That's kind of interesting. Though the 27 years in between the announcements is much more important. Don Garber said, "This is not really time to look back on what's happened over the last 28 to 31 years of the league." He says it really is about the future and the future path that will be on. And I think that what Larry Berg said today is interesting, right? It is very interesting. I'm going to go down to like the important part of what he said about the roster rules and stuff and the format changes. And he said that he thought the new calendar was a massive move, which is a positive, right? But I mean, they voted for it, right? The ownership voted for that. So obviously the ownership group overwhelmingly wanted to change the calendar to replicate the European calendar. This is what I think there was only one team who voted against it out of 30. He says, I think the new playoffs, the new divisions, these are all really important. I'd like a little bit more depth on that. I'd like for him to elaborate more on that. And what exactly the new format is, though, is to be determined. The league has done a ton of work with outside parties, with inside parties, looking at those very questions for the regular season, for the divisions, for the playoffs, and there's a lot of analysis that's gone in. There's a lot of research and fan research that's gone in, and there's a lot of discussion the committee levels that's gone in. He says there's a lot going on. What's important to me is it will ultimately achieve consensus and move forward together. But the good news is that I think the new things we're thinking about certainly will move our league forward, make it entertaining, make it interesting, and I'm pretty excited to roll it out. I don't know timing wise when that might be. We obviously have next summer, the start of the new calendar. So that's a pretty big deal. Perhaps we have it by then, I hope, but it's really about what the owners can do and what kind of analysis, leadership I can provide at that part. And then they talk about how the Apple TV deal ends in 2029, how he's going to be tasked with this. He said it's about finding media partners as far as like what they're looking for. It's about finding media partners that want to co-create the future with us. It's about co-creating what's interesting to them, what's interesting to us. How can we change certain things to their benefit? I'll use one example. In the World Cup, we obviously all discovered hydration breaks. That was interesting in many ways, but my job is to sell the future, to paint MLS what MLS can be, to introduce Leagues Cup to media folks that some of them are not aware of yet. But it's an amazing tournament that's starting this week, and our new playoff system will be something that I'm hoping to explain to people and get them excited about. That's interesting. I mean, I didn't even know that they're going to introduce like their 6 different playoff system here in the last couple of years. Not really, but they do change the playoff system pretty frequently. And I'm not really too big about the Leagues Cup. I'm not really a big fan of that, but either way, they talk about his private equity. Now there was something about talking about the league rule changes. I didn't see it in here, but essentially what he said was when it came to league changes that he's hoping to get them done by the new calendar change, which is that's not exactly what you want to hear, because we had heard last week that they were trying to get it done before the sprint season. They were going to try to vote for it, get it implemented by this winter, and have it in place for the 2027 sprint season. So that's not necessarily good that they're already kind of backtracking a little bit on that and saying, well, we're going to try to get done before the calendar change. Well, we'll talk about what I think he needs to do, but that is a little concerning if you ask me. Okay. So let's get into what I think he needs to do. Three things he needs to do in order to succeed as the commissioner of Major League Soccer. Let's start with number one, the roster rules, right? Last week, you got this report saying that ownership was ready to spend and they're ready to invest and they're ready to take Major League Soccer to heights we have never seen before. The owners realize after the World Cup that they need to spend more money if they want to make the league grow and become more popular amongst casual fans of soccer in the United States. So we heard the rumors of possibly a $30 million salary cap, maybe a $15 million salary cap floor, getting rid of TAM, getting rid of GAM, all of these things to try to simplify the rules. So my first thing for Larry Berg is he has to get this across the line. It is the most important thing for Major League Soccer to continue its growth is to change the rules, to be able to acquire more talent, to make the rosters deeper, to help us winning more trophies, more specifically in our region, like CONCACAF Champions Cup. And the way you do that, you invest more money into the roster. So his first task, right? Getting this over the line. Now, he was brought in because he is a former owner, which maybe he's not a former owner yet, but he will be a former owner when he has to divest his ownership in LAFC in the next couple months before he takes the reins in January 1st of 2027. He was brought in because he knows the owners. He was on the committee, supposedly for rule changes. He has been hammering the table to have the league go in a brighter, more ambitious direction. He is tasked with convincing the skeptical owners, the cheap owners, whatever you want to call them, whatever you want to label them, to get on board, to want to invest more money in this league. Now, I mentioned a minute ago about how last week they were more motivated. We were hearing this of happening before the sprint season, and now he says that we were going to try to get it done before the calendar change. That's not boding much confidence for me. I want to hear, yeah, we're bullish on it. We're going to get it done as soon as possible. This is we might get it done, hope to get it done before the calendar season. I don't think there's any reason. He even mentioned in another article that there were some owners that they're going to have to get on board, but it just seemed a lot more positive last week, like this was something everyone unanimously agreed with, regardless of how ambitious they want to be. Now it's seeming like some of them are starting to backtrack now that there's a new sheriff in town, right? He's going to have to convince these guys that this is the most important thing to do. And it kind of leads into the second part of what the most important thing for his job, which we'll get to in a second. But he has to be able to invest more money in the rosters to grow the quality. I love Major League Soccer. I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, you love Major League Soccer. But to the global audience, it's still very niche. It's not where it needs to be. And this is how we bridge that gap of getting more soccer fans in, watching Major League Soccer, being tuned in with it, increasing the quality, getting people more interested. He's got to simplify the rules. He has got to make sure this gets across the line to where more teams can spend freely if they choose. And he's also got to push these, I don't want to say push these cheap owners, but have them more accepting that this is where the league needs to go. And apparently he's good at convincing people. He's good at bridging gaps. He's good at meeting people in the middle because he actually created the 2DP 4U22 rule as like a compromise for some of these owners to give them more GAM, which I don't really like that because it kind of makes it more complicated because it's just adding more equations. Well, if you do this and you do that, then you get this. It just needs to be more simplified. But he did some type of rule change or a proposal with that, the U22s and DPs, they got more owners on board to change that rule. So we'll see what he can convince them to do, but this is by far, to me, the most important thing. We have got to get the roster rules changed, simplified, and expanded as far as spending. This is the most important thing on the job for him. It is so paramount because it's a trickle-down effect when this happens, and it leads me to my second thing. The second thing for me is the media deal. The media deal, guys, is so important, okay? And I'm going to tie it into why it's important to the spending, right? The problem is the Apple TV deal ends in 2029. And by all accounts, they're not going to re-sign with Apple TV. I like Apple TV for the production. I think it's simple. You get to watch all the games, but the owners are not content with Apple TV. Personally, I think this is one of Don Garber's undoing. It's something undone him because he was the biggest driving force behind Apple TV, and it didn't really pay off like they thought it was going to. It has not succeeded like they went. Even if you love it, it has not succeeded like they have wanted it to succeed. Whether it was the season pass paywall at first or whatever, the promotion, lack of promotion from Apple, there's a lot of different reasons of why it hasn't worked out to the way they wanted it to work out. But I like it. I mean, I think it's good as far as the production and having all the games in one place, but they're not content with it, and it's not been paying them what they want because it's $250 million annually, but they have to pay the production costs. So I say all that to say this: it ends in 2029. May of 2029 is when it ends. Okay. If they don't make these roster changes until 2027, August of 2027, that's when they're going to start negotiating the next TV deal. You can look it up yourself. Any media deal that has ever been negotiated with a major league always happens 18 to 24 months before the current one ends because they want to be prepared. They want to have a smooth transition. They don't want to be desperate or have themselves backed in the corner 6 months until the deal ends and then have no leverage to negotiate with the said media partner. So it's going to be starting to get negotiated probably in the next year. And if they don't make any changes to the roster rules before then, that means the product is going to be exactly the same. And if it's the same, they're not going to have as many people bidding on MLS's rights. That's the most important thing. That is why it is so crucial that they have to get this done in January. They have to get this done before the sprint season to showcase that the league expanding spending is making the quality go up. That is so important. I cannot emphasize this enough how important that is for this league. They have got to get that across the line before the new calendar change and let it be implemented this sprint season, okay? Hey everyone, quick word from our sponsor, FanDuel. If you're into soccer like I am, you already know how exciting La Liga, the Premier League, and MLS matches can get. With FanDuel, you can make it even more fun by placing bets on your favorite teams and matches across all three leagues. Whether it's a Premier League showdown, a La Liga thriller, or an MLS game with your local club, FanDuel makes it easy and exciting to bet on what you watch. Just remember, you have to be 21 years or older to play. Please bet responsibly and only if you're of legal age and in a state where it's allowed. Download the FanDuel app or head over to FanDuel.com, sign up, and get in on the action. Thanks for supporting the channel through FanDuel to try to showcase that the league is growing in quality. Now, has MLS increased viewership since they switched to the Apple TV? You have a membership to Apple TV, 55 million people, 50 million people, more accessible for people to watch? Yeah, of course. But it's still not probably where it needs to be to help them get the media deal they want. They want $400 to $500 million, which is essentially doubling what they're currently making. That's what the Premier League is making right now at NBC. And in order to get that kind of money, they're going to have to get their ratings up. So that is why it is so important to have the spending go up, to help the quality go up, to have more people watch the game. And Larry Berg is important for him because he, as the commissioner, is going to be tasked with negotiating with these media partners and picking the best deal for the league. Now, the ownership will have to vote on the deal that he proposes to them or negotiates with the media partner, but he is the driving force. He is the lead executive doing all this before he presents it to the league. So he is tasked with getting MLS a good media rights deal, but he said a one that grows with them, right? Now, that's what Don Garber said last time in 2022 when they signed with Apple. This was a partner they could grow with. That's not what happened. So they need the money, but they really need the exposure. They really need the exposure. And I know some people are going to be mad about it being on network TV, but here's the thing. Not every game has to be on network TV. They could have the games on Apple TV, like the bulk of the games that aren't the primetime games, but then they can have the primetime game, like the matchup of the week, be on CBS, be on Fox, be on NBC, whatever it is, right? Amazon, whoever it is. But they need to have the big game accessible to more eyes so they can grow the league. That is very vital also. So the money is important because the money helps grow the league, right? Every league in the world is dependent on the media rights still. If the Premier League didn't have the Sky Sports or NBC media deal, they wouldn't be who they are. If the NFL didn't have the Fox, CBS, and ESPN money, they wouldn't be who they are. This is so important. Media rights is what is the lifeline for a sports league. It's very important. This is the most important deal that Larry Berg will negotiate in his young tenure as the MLS commissioner. So that is very, very, very vital for him as the commissioner. Now, the third thing, and I think that this is very important too. The first two are more important, but this one is important too. He's got to know how to sell the league. He's got to know how to promote the league. Now, he said that today he's not going to do promotion relegation. It's just not in the future for MLS. Okay, so that's off the table. That's not going to happen. But there's other things to promoting and selling the league that I think that can get people excited. It's just like talking about it more, paying for more advertisements. Like the World Cup, we got one ad the entire World Cup. One ad, and it was the semifinal of the World Cup. We have got to have people in there that knows how to promote the league better to get people interested and know what's going on. Like he said about Leagues Cup, people don't know about Leagues Cup. Now, I'm not a fan of Leagues Cup, but they don't do a good job enough promoting it to people to even know what's going on. They need to be promoting MLS on a weekly basis, paying for ads, exposing it for as much as they possibly can so people know what to do, what to watch, where it's at, all this stuff, primetime matchups. They need to do this. It's so important to promote this league more effectively. Like yesterday when Don Garber when Don Garber and Larry Berg were having their press conference, I mean, you have to scour through the internet to find anything about it. You can find articles about it. I don't know if there's any footage of it. It wasn't on ESPN. It wasn't on any primetime network. But if it was any other league in the world where there was a new commissioner and the old commissioner, they'd be plastering it everywhere. There just needs to be more accessibility to Major League Soccer. Accessibility is so key to people learning and falling in love with the league. They need to promote the hell out of it. Like, they need to be promoting games weekly, posting like crazy, promoting big matchups like until ad nauseum, so people like get sick of it. Like, it's like embedded in their mind. They know who's playing tonight. Oh, LAFC's playing the Galaxy. Like, and not just the people who live in LA. I'm talking globally, domestically, the entire country, globally too, I guess. But they need to promote the league better. This is so important. I have criticized for years the lack of promotion with the league. They need to get creative. They need to do games on Friday nights. They need to make this league not just more desirable, but just let people know about it. I cannot believe that we only had the one ad during the World Cup. I was hoping that we would see several ads so people could get exposed to MLS and see a little bit about it and be like, oh, okay, domestic league. I'll go watch that when the World Cup is over with. He's got to do a better job than what they currently are doing of promoting the league, especially because of all the people they have and some of the players that people are familiar with, like Son and Messi. They have done a piss poor job for me in promoting the league, and I hope that changes under the leadership of Larry Berg. I really, really hope that is something that changes. And I want to say something else too. I was, very skeptical about Larry Berg. If you watched my video yesterday talking about his appointment as the MLS commissioner, and I still have a lot of reservations. I'm not going to sugarcoat it or lie. This is how I honestly feel. People disagree, that's fine, but I think I have valid concerns about him. But I'm going to give him a chance. There's no other option. He's the commissioner. It is what it is. We have to just hope that he gets it right and he knows what he's doing and he can help the league go into a direction that we have never seen before. I'm going to give him a fair shake as the MLS commissioner. I've been very transparent. He's not the guy that I would have picked to lead the league going forward, but he is what we have. And I hope if he succeeds, we all win. The league is better. It's more desirable. It's more popular. Everything. It's better quality. So I hope he succeeds. I want him to succeed. He has my support right now. I really, until he loses it, I want him to succeed. And I did like some of the things he said. I just hope he's able to implement what he said about getting the people or owners on board to make the necessary changes to make the league better. Some people thought that this calendar change would never happen, including myself. I mean, there was a point in time where I didn't think that would happen. The owners voted for it, and it's being implemented next year. So they have shown, even if they're at a snail's pace, that they are willing to make changes. So that gives me hope. And maybe Larry Berg, it is a little weird that the owner is becoming the commissioner of the league, but maybe since he's the owner, he will be able to convince some of these guys on what's best for the league going forward. So he has my full support right now. I hope he does these three things. And if he does, I think he'll be a very successful commissioner, and we will all be better for it. Major League Soccer will be better for it. The fans will be in for a pleasant surprise, not a pleasant surprise, but they will be in for a great treat if this all comes to fruition. And the league will be, I can't even imagine what the league's going to look like, but it'll be beautiful, and it'll be something that many people thought could never happen. So I'm curious what you guys think. Do you agree with my list of the three things that Larry Berg needs to do? What do you guys think? Is there anything different you would do? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that little bell notification so you never miss a video. Until next time, guys, I will see you all soon.